Our Bishop Council Nedd II, founding member of Project 21 and third presiding bishop of the Episcopal Missionary Church. Sam Sachs, co-founder of the District Sentinel. It's the District Sentinel.org?
Sure, yeah.
Or just DistrictSentinel.org?
It's we'll drop the
okay,
when we're...
there you go. And Patrick Hedger, Policy Director for American Encore. It's great to have you back, all of you.
It's nice to be here. I think we might have actually found some common ground for the first time, you and I, because this big government that you love so much can't keep the bridges up and the roads secure and everything. So yeah, if the government can't do the job, then yeah, maybe the private sector should step up. Somebody needs to do something. We can't just have these bridges falling down. Okay. It's a shame when big government lets you down like that.
Indeed. Well, let me go through the setup here. President Obama is proposing private investment in our nation's infrastructure, something you're talking about, because Republicans aren't doing their job. In fact, infrastructure spending has plummeted since President Obama took office, and Republicans began their obstruction efforts. Standard & Poor's has estimated that spending $1.3 billion in a year, which is very, very little, would create 29,000 jobs, add $2 billion to economic growth, and reduce our deficit by $200 million. Without that kind of investment, however, the country risks losing out on nearly $1 trillion in business sales, 3.5 million jobs, and more than 3.1 trillion in GDP by 2020. So isn't it time to start bringing America into the 21st century? And I take it from what you just said, Bishop Council Nedd, that your idea is to turn all public infrastructure, like turn our roads into toll roads?
Well, no, not necessarily, but if the government's not doing the job and they can't keep the bridges in safe condition, they can't keep the roads, if they can't keep the roads safe, then somebody needs to do it.
It's not that government's not doing its job, it's that it's not being allowed to do its job of investing in infrastructure. You see the chart that there was money going into infrastructure. Well, there's no money going into infrastructure. You have to raise those funds. You have to put them into programs that rebuild roads. Yes, they are out of money in that sense. Is the government out of money? Of course not. But that money has to be appropriated, and laws have to be passed to put it into action, and that's not happening.
And I bet if you look through the very bills that you're talking about, you'll see all sorts of handouts for various constituencies of various congressmen who happen to be on the appropriations and the authorization committees.
I think that's all distractions. There needs to be legislation that's saying we need to rebuild our infrastructure. What's that?
Not to the people that were on that bridge when it fell down.
You're talking about the I-35 where the governor of the state had blocked federal highway funds to improve the bridge until the people died. And then suddenly the Republican governor got religion and said, okay, yeah, come on in, give us some money.
So there's a lot of problems at play here, and I wish it was as simple as your monologue made it. The problem is, it is not. There's a lot of problems at play here. There are technologies out there that can make our roads and bridges last forever. But you know what? The construction unions don't like those things because it puts them out of jobs. Like composite-based roads and bridge reinforcement, those things will make our bridges last for the next 100 years. And the unions adamantly oppose these things.
Patrick, the unions have no say.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. My father
works
works in the composites industry. They have been trying to pitch these ideas to state and local governments to rebuild these bridges for years, and they're getting opposition from the unions because the bridges then never need repairs.
So according to your hypothetical here,
there's another issue here. You look at these infrastructure
let's finish
bills.
the first issue. You're saying that a union can block legislation in Congress? This seems like if you've got something that's going to build a road that's going to last forever, that's going to be cost competitive with concrete or asphalt, I don't know why you don't get all the Republicans to say, hey, we're going to stop blocking this stuff because it might make Obama look good.
Now that's on the local level. On the national level, where you're upset with the Republicans blocking these bills, if you look at what's happened in the Senate since President Obama took office, and it wasn't just President Obama that took office, it was congressional Democrats. They started attaching lots of little nasty amendment riders to these infrastructure bills that Republicans never in a million years would vote for.
Okay,
and so they struck down these bills.
Now are they going to introduce huge public investments in infrastructure now that they're in power and they can figure out what sort of riders and amendments can go in? Are we going to see legislation
probably get vetoed by the president, like all these other infrastructure plans?
They're not going to introduce
two bills that have already been proposed by the president
that
have bipartisan support have been vetoed already.
Not once have we heard any opposition from Republicans based on the materials that are used in the building of these roads and bridges.
And it's not just roads and bridges. I mean, we're talking about the physical infrastructure. Just in the last 10 years, China has built a high-speed railroad that's the equivalent of the distance from Chicago to New York. I mean, they built this.
Within 30 days of operation, it derailed and killed like 30-something people. I was living in China when that happened.
It is running. Nonetheless, it is.
The Chinese media.
We have never had a railroad crash in the United States. It is running. We have 60,000 factories, not jobs, factories have moved from the United States to China just since the year 2000. 60,000 of them. Why are they going there? Because instantly you've got infrastructure, you've got roads, you've got high-speed rail, you've got good, high-speed broadband. China's
and the government
beating us
doesn't mandate
badly.
you pay people. The government and the unions over there don't mandate you pay people $35 an hour
And
like
it's
you
not
do in
being
Washington
underwritten
State.
slave labor or anything like that.
Actually the cost of labor is actually the smallest piece of it. Most of it is the fact that you can pollute
free
all
is
you
free.
want, you can poison the air all you want, you can poison the people all you want, and China is subsidizing it. China has made a multi-trillion dollar investment in
The
infrastructure.
ultimate argument is go to Europe. There's a lot of European countries that have great infrastructure, smooth roads, lots of high-speed trains, and half of Europe is an economic basket case. These investments in public infrastructure, while they can be good, are not some sort of silver bullet to correct our economy.
But to the extent that Europe is a basket case, it's because they're following Republican economics.
But I can't believe that they're actually touting China as the example that the United States should be following.
What I'm saying is that infrastructure draws business.
The smallest European government was 36% of GDP, and that was Bulgaria. That's hardly Republican.
Do you guys not think trains should go faster? Should we not be making trains in the country go faster?
I
think planes should go faster. I don't think
okay, so
we have better technology than the trains. I mean, that is
like planes have been around almost 100 years now, and you want to just stick with that. We don't need any more infrastructure. We don't need any more
development. Nightmare of like we can't fly the planes
well, no,
anymore, so
we're
we need
bringing
to
up
build better
examples
trains.
how other countries are building high-speed rail and we're being left behind, and you seem to think that it's okay or that it's not worth the risk to build this sort of high-speed rail because 30 people were killed in China or something.
If you're so excited about the quality of life and economic health in countries that have massive infrastructure spending, then please go. I mean, China's got a terrible GDP per capita.
I don't want to go. I just don't want the bridges here to
argument there
collapse.
ever. That's like, America loving it or leaving it.
I can't believe that we're seriously having a conversation touting rails as the wave of the future, and what China's doing over there as our manifest destiny.
CSX loves to brag about on television, with rail you can move a ton of products. What, 400 miles on a gallon of fuel? I mean, it's you've seen the TV ads.
You can move a lot of products in the back of
It's
slave labor,
insanely efficient.
Yeah, and if it wasn't insanely
you don't have
efficient,
to have
they wouldn't have to run
slaves for rail.
commercials. They wouldn't have to run commercials if it was so insanely efficient. People would be like, oh my gosh, I'll lower my costs if I go by rail. But apparently there's something wrong going on. They wouldn't have to advertise as aggressively as they are if they were more efficient than air transport. That's the simple fact.
The rail infrastructure is what's
FedEx doesn't have to
falling apart
advertise to the extent that CSX does.
You don't think FedEx has an advertising?
Well, I'm sure
budget?
they do, but they're not running commercials telling me that how much fuel they're saving.
No, because we're sort of maintaining our roads, and most of FedEx's infrastructure that they use is our air traffic control system, which is reasonably well funded. Our airports are the one area that are getting money. Why? Well, because the billionaires and their private jets use them. In fact, 35% of all the cost of the entire air traffic control system is for private jets for billionaires, whereas they only constitute 3% of all the traffic or revenue.
The last major international airport that was built was like Denver. It was like back in the 1990s. So.
More of tonight's Big Picture Rumble after the break.